Stress, depression, we throw these words around all the time, right? And so many of us feel them, sometimes all at once. It can get really tangled up, making it super hard to figure out what's actually going on. But here's the thing, telling them apart, it might just be one of the most important things you can do for your mental health. So let me just ask you this straight up. Have you ever had that feeling? That feeling of being totally and completely swamped, like the pressure from work, from your family, from just life is coming at you from all sides and it just feels like too much to handle? Yeah, if that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are definitely not alone. And that feeling, that's where we're going to start today. So with that feeling in mind, what we're trying to do here is actually really simple, but it is so important. Our mission is to draw a really clear line in the sand between stress and depression. And why does that matter so much? Well, because understanding the difference, truly getting it, is the very first most powerful step you can take to get the right kind of help for yourself or maybe for someone you love. So first up, let's talk about stress. The best way to think about it is like your body's own personal alarm system. It's totally natural, it's built in. But what happens when that alarm gets stuck in the on position and just refuses to turn off? So what even is stress on a biological level? Well, at its core, it's your body's reaction to pressure. You've got a tight deadline, a tough conversation. Your body goes, okay, time to act. And it floods your system with hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This is basically your body's go juice, designed to make you sharp and focused to handle whatever's in front of you. But, and this is a huge but, not all stress is the same. There's acute stress, which is the short-term stuff, like pulling an all-nighter for a test. It can actually make you perform better. But then there's chronic stress. This is the one we really need to watch out for. This is the pressure that just doesn't let up, the kind that lasts for months or even years. It's that alarm that won't turn off and it just wears you down, physically and mentally. Okay, so now we're getting to the heart of it. We know stress can go from helpful to harmful, but how is that different from depression? Let's really get into it and look at 6 key signs that can help you tell them apart. All right, sign number 1, sleep. Both of them can totally wreck your sleep, but they do it in slightly different ways. With stress, you might be lying awake at night with your thoughts racing a million miles an hour, or you might sleep way too much just to get away from it all. But with depression, here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if you sleep for 10 hours. You wake up feeling just as tired, if not more so, with this heavy sense of dread. The sleep just isn't refreshing. Number 2, your emotions. Stress is usually a reaction. You feel overwhelmed because of that massive project at work. You feel irritable because of a fight with your partner. Your feelings go up and down with the situation. Depression, on the other hand, is more of a constant state. It's this deep, persistent feeling of sadness or emptiness that isn't really attached to any one thing. It's just there all the time. Okay, what about sign number 3? Work and focus. A little bit of stress can actually push you into high gear, right? You power through to meet that deadline. Depression is the opposite. It just steals your ability to concentrate or make even simple decisions. But here's the most telling part. When you're stressed, you're anxious, but you still care about the outcome. With depression, you often lose interest completely, even in things you used to love. That loss of pleasure is a huge red flag. And number 4, our physical health. Stress definitely shows up in the body. Think tension headaches, a sore back, feeling tired. But usually once the stressful situation is over, those symptoms tend to fade away. With depression, the physical stuff, like chronic pain and bone-deep fatigue, can get worse over time, creating this awful vicious cycle that just feeds back into those feelings of helplessness. So let's just boil this all down. Stress, it's usually temporary, it's tied to an external thing, and you can still find moments of joy. You can usually see a way out. Depression, it's long-lasting. It's an internal change. It's marked by that loss of pleasure and a deep feeling of hopelessness. And this last one is so important. Suicidal thoughts are typically not a part of stress, but they can be a very real, very serious symptom of depression. So we've covered the what and the how, but now we're going to get into the why. And this part is absolutely crucial because it explains why telling someone with depression to just cheer up or get over it is not just useless, it completely misses what's actually happening inside their brain. I mean, we've all heard it, right? Maybe we've even thought it. Why can't they just snap out of it? It's a fair question if you don't know the science, but the answer has absolutely nothing to do with willpower. It's all about biology. To get this, we have to talk about something called neurotransmitters. The easiest way to think of them as the essential fuel for your brain's emotional circuits. They're these tiny chemical messengers that your brain uses to manage your mood, your sleep, your focus, pretty much everything. So remember that chronic stress we talked about? That alarm that's stuck in the on position? Well, imagine flooring the gas pedal in your car for weeks or months on end. What happens? You burn through all your fuel. That's exactly what chronic stress does to your brain. It forces it to work in overdrive, and it burns through that supply of neurotransmitter fuel way too fast. And this right here is the whole point. When that fuel tank is empty, the brain's emotional engine just can't run properly. It gets stuck. It physically doesn't have the chemical resources it needs to pull itself out of that state of sadness and exhaustion. It is, quite literally, a biological problem. It is not a character flaw or a weakness of will. Period. Understanding that biology is actually really empowering because it shows us that there are real, concrete solutions. So let's talk about that. What's the path forward? What can we actually do to manage stress and treat depression? Okay, for managing that everyday, grind you down stress, there are some really powerful things you can start doing like right now. Taking a few slow, deep breaths can calm your nervous system almost instantly. Mindfulness helps you stay in the present instead of spiraling about the future. And even something as simple as writing down 3 things you're grateful for can totally shift your perspective. But maybe the most important, actually scheduling time for yourself. It's not a luxury, it's essential maintenance. But, and I can't stress this enough, when we're talking about depression, the game plan has to be different. Because it's a medical condition that involves your brain chemistry, professional help is absolutely key. A doctor or a therapist is the one who can give you a proper diagnosis and help create a treatment plan. That might mean talk therapy, it might mean medication to help refill that fuel tank of neurotransmitters, or a combination of things. And look, if any of this is hitting home for you, I really, really want you to hear this. You are so far from being alone. One study found that up to 30%, that's nearly 1 in 3 people in Vietnam, experienced symptoms of depression. This is a massive public health challenge, especially for young people. It is not a personal failure. So, we've broken down the problem, we've looked at the biology behind it, and we've talked about the solutions. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one single thing: taking that first step.
I really just want to hammer this point home. For way too long, there's been this stigma around mental health, and it's just wrong. Let's be crystal clear about this. Realizing that something isn't right and having the courage to ask for help is not weakness. It is one of the absolute strongest things a person can do.
And you know what? That first step doesn't have to be some giant, earth-shattering leap. It can be as small as just stopping to take 5 deep breaths. It could be texting a friend. It could be looking up a phone number. The size of the step truly doesn't matter. The simple act of taking it, that's everything. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for yourself. After all of this, what is one small thing, one tiny, achievable thing that you're going to do for your mental health today? Because that one small choice, that's where the journey to feeling better really begins.
Health is the most precious gift. If this video helped you or someone you love, please like, subscribe, and share so more families can stay safe and healthy.